Welcome to the 11th annual commencement of the Stanford Online High School. I hope you have all enjoyed a wonderful weekend full of exciting events. Now we will move to our finale, our celebration of the graduation class of 2017. This year, we have the biggest graduation ceremony in the history of the school with 500 people here in CEMEX auditorium. Our usual Adobe Connect seminar room might crash with this many people and with this level of excitement. So I'm glad and proud to have this event in such a wonderful venue at Stanford University. Now, I would like to start by congratulating graduating seniors. Congratulations, class of 2017. Everyone on site here and online is proud of your achievements and celebrates your graduation and the start of your new intellectual and professional endeavors. I would also like to congratulate the parents of graduating seniors. Congratulations, parents of graduating seniors. Today marks a significant benchmark of your children's development, as well as your thoughtful and patient support over the course of many years. I am excited to share this wonderful celebratory moment with you. Finally, I congratulate all instructors and staff members who have supported our graduating seniors during their high school careers. Congratulations, teachers and staff members. You have inspired and supported our students to proceed through this academically rigorous program. I'm so proud to be a part of this excellent school team. As my appreciation remarks here to different groups of the school symbolize, education is a highly collaborative enterprise. Students need instructors to guide and encourage them during their intellectual journey. Instructors need student collaboration to have successful classes. And student parents, instructors, and staff members all work collaboratively to create a robust community basis for a school on a tightly knitted web of individual relationships. Particularly given the unique online environment and the dispersion of our students and families over the United States and the world, I am proud that OHS thrives with an incredible collaboration among everyone in the community to achieve our mission of creating a worldwide learning community of diverse, intellectually passionate students and teachers. Graduating seniors, along with your excellent academic achievement, I would like to celebrate you all for being a driving part of such school-wide collaboration to make everything we do at OHS possible. To clarify my appreciation of this point a little more here, I'd like to draw upon one sociological distinction, the distinction between associative and communal relationships. While in doing so, I'm crossing some academic boundary here as a logician in fear of having some real Max Weber scholars in this auditorium. But anyhow, collaborations may arise from associative relationships, where associative relationships are based on rationally motivated adjustments of interest, or agreements based on socially subscribed values or reasons of expediency. The most typical associative relationships might exemplify in some forms of business organizations. On the other hand, collaboration may arise from communal relationships. Communal relationships are based on individuals' feelings of belonging together, typically stemming from affection or some forms of traditions, often grounded by geographic vicinity of individuals. Prime examples of communal relationships may be families or friendship. Both associative and communal relationships coexist critically for different types of collaborations in society, but communal relationships may be somehow less tangible than associated ones, and may come out ultimately more from organic processes rather than intentional designs of introducing collaborative relationships. My strong belief is that the success of OHS is crucially based on the true communal relationships that we have successfully established, despite geographical hurdles and any other kinds of distances that may be often predicted in an online environment. There is a robust sense of belonging together in OHS, and it is a critical achievement for the very foundation of a school like ours. Here again, graduating seniors, I'd like to celebrate and appreciate all of you for being a great leading part of this communal collaboration. The established communal relationships will be a part of the long-standing tradition of OHS Pride in many future years and will live in the minds of future OHS students and families. Moreover, communal relationships last long in our lives as home grounds, and the successful experience of opening up for true communal relationships will open us up for other communal relationships that we might establish in the future. After sending you off today in this graduation ceremony, graduating seniors, we will all be looking forward to hearing about your new great journey with productive collaboration and success that are waiting for you in the future years. Thank you very much. Once again, congratulations, class of 2017. Now, as we move to the graduation ceremony program, I would like to first thank the wonderful Bach trio today. We already heard for the processional music piece. Today's Bach trio are PS1, class of 2021 on violin, Ryan Har, class of 2020 on cello, and Josephine Chang, class of 2021 on piano. You will hear them playing again at the end of the ceremony for recessional music piece. And now, I would like to introduce our first student speaker, Anna Stoneman. Anna exemplifies the axiom that still waters run deep. Her warm and easygoing nature belies her immense passion and drive, both of which become immediately apparent in discussion sections. She's a leader at the school, both academically and socially, and has worked tirelessly to build upon a growing sense of community at our online school. Well respected by all of her teachers, she particularly thrives in the humanities and is especially drawn to ancient languages. Loved and esteemed by her peers, Anna engages with the larger school community to improve student life and support her classmates who always seem willing to follow her lead. It is my pleasure to welcome Anna to the podium.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Hoshi, and my warmest welcome to the teachers, friends, families, and most importantly, fellow members of the class of 2017. Getting ahead of myself. Disconcerting though it may be to not be addressing a series of webcams here, I'm extremely honored to have the opportunity to stand before you today and reflect upon the experiences that we have shared over the past 4 years. I like to consider it a rite of passage to attend class in a public space. So whether you're on the metro or in a coffee shop, there are a few experiences that unite us more than that rush of fear when your Wi-Fi signal flickers, or the moment when the flight attendant informs you that it's actually illegal to finish your point about Kant on a plane. Or above all, those glances from baffled strangers who have no idea that even though you may seem as though you are standing alone and talking to your computer, which you are actually immersed in this entirely different world, whether you're halfway around the globe or you haven't left your bedroom that day. There is something mildly terrifying and immensely liberating about the realization that as an OHSer, you're constantly forging your own path. There's no school hallway that you walk down every day. You encounter people in this completely new venue that you're creating day by day. We're pioneering this new era of education and setting a new standard for what is possible in our high school years. And we've done all this while not just enjoying our remarkable community, but also creating it member by member and day by day. I recently heard the father of one of our graduates say, iron sharpens iron, and what a fitting metaphor that is for the experience that we all have shared over the past 4 years. It goes without saying that we've had 4 years of unparalleled academic rigor and sharpened and fine-tuned our intellects and everything. I defy you to find another group of 18-year-olds more equipped to reference Kafka or Aristotle, or who will enthusiastically debate religion, ethics, and substance dualism while trapped on a roller coaster at Great America, as occurred just 3 days ago. But even more pressingly and remarkably, we've driven each other to grow simply by standing, at least metaphorically, at each other's sides over the past 4 years. We've challenged ourselves to the extreme through the very framework in which we've chosen to abide over the past 4 years. Online, at OHS, where our literal lack of physical grounding truly allows us to soar to extraordinary heights. During every class and every meetup and every late night Skype call and every unpredictable Adobe karaoke session and the like, we found, we deepen our understanding of just how unbelievably fortunate we are to have found such a brilliant group of teachers and classmates and peers and friends, most importantly. And I want to reiterate today to my fellow graduates that you really are brilliant in every sense of the word. I'm trying not to resort to the graduation speech cliche, which is, actually using the definition here, but I will. So there are two. and obviously the academic level, the fact that you enthusiastically dive into 20-page papers really goes without saying. But there's also the brilliant in the sense of, this radiance and shining outpouring of light, this directional movement here. And I think this class in particular, and those that have come before and those that will come in the future, really capitalize upon the freedom that OHS provides through its very nature to develop yourselves into genuine individuals who in turn, press and inspire others to be great. So by virtue of your very presence, you do this, and for that I would like to thank you. As a longtime community member and now leader of student government, I've always been very deeply invested in building the framework of student life at OHS. And yet it never fails to astound me just how self-sustaining the community really is, in a way that truly does defy all logistical odds. We try as we might to create a particular program or something of that nature. Really what brings the community together and builds it is people finding each other and being drawn together, again, just by virtue of their very nature and their desire to be here. I began this speech, as you're all aware, with a quip about going to class in public spaces as a small illustration of the experiences that we share despite being from different states and different countries and different continents and the like. But our willingness to wrestle with these so-called Adobe Connect demons from planes, trains, automobiles, and more really is a testament to the fact that every single person here comes to this school because he or she truly wants to be there, and that's something that cannot be overstated, the value of the fact that every single person here is genuinely excited to throw him or herself into the community head on and make their mark, whatever that mark may be. Every single person here has shaped the school in some way for the next generation, has actively created this community that really can't be created beforehand. For my part, I've been here 4 years, and I can tell you with absolute certainty that Stanford OHS has fundamentally changed my life in a way that nothing else ever has or probably ever will. I hope that that is a particularly telling statement. It takes an incredibly special group of people to not only be on the cutting edge of education, but also to have this innate ability to forge these deep bonds across time zones and to understand that emotional closeness is so much more than physical proximity, and to be able to create, this vibrant and unparalleled community of people that we have today that we're all so sad to, in effect be leaving. Although, again, the nature of the school prevents that from really being the case. And I am very, very appreciative of that. Looking back on the past 4 years, the element of OHS that has resonated with me the most is exactly this. As soon as you join our community, you really never leave in the best possible way. This is something I've learned when I've watched my brother, who graduated in 2013 and whose class is truly as tight-knit facing their college graduation this weekend as they ever were 4 years ago or further on in the past. This is something I see in teachers and administration and how much everyone genuinely cares about this community and every single person in it. And also, this is something that you see, but to reference another particular phenomenon, every night before a final or any essay, large or small, is due when your class comes together from across states and continents to help each other conquer that 11:59 p.m. Pacific time deadline. So unlike a brick and mortar school where you spend half your day immersed in the school and half recovering, at OHS, you are constantly surrounded by people, whether it's just a good morning text message or it's a late night Skype call that, again, goes longer than it should have. Apologies to all the parents. But you're always surrounded by people who challenge you and inspire you and make you happier and better in so many ways. So over the past 4 years, OHS really has been with you, and you have been with OHS day in and day out. And this will undoubtedly continue even after we shift our tassels from right to left in, an hour or so. So in sum, it is extraordinarily bittersweet to be leaving. And I think I speak for all of my fellow graduates when I say that part of us really does want to remain at OHS forever. The people that we've met here and the classes that we're taking is just the most unique experience. It really cannot be replicated. And the ability, again, just to continue to thrive around these utterly incredible people is really once in a lifetime. So it's an odd position in which we find ourselves today, right? We're eagerly looking ahead to the next great adventure. You can see it on most people's caps, where they will be going. But also, we're kind of lingering reluctantly in the doorway. You don't want to take the next step. Need I remind you, however, that we don't have any doorways at OHS. So instead of this, literal and physical grounding, we do have something greater. We have, this home that we've created that, again, really does transcend any particular physical place. We have a home, we have a family of everyone here, everyone on the live stream. And I want to reiterate that this is a community that truly will stand at your side wherever you go and wherever you may be. So finally, I want to take this opportunity to thank you all, students, teachers, and parents, and everyone here for an utterly incredible and transformative 4 years. To every teacher who went above and beyond to help us expand our minds, to every counselor who helped us thrive, to every parent who worked tirelessly to give their child the best possible experience, to everyone who attended an event or reached out to someone else in the community or did something to play their part in shaping the school for our class and for the future. Thank you for pouring your heart and soul into OHS. It is my overwhelming honor to stand before you today, but it has genuinely been the privilege of a lifetime to know each and every one of you. So thank you for everything, and congratulations to my fellow members of the class of 2017. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Our second student speaker is Bikram Venkatram. Bikram serves as an example of how the characteristics that make for a good student also make for a good person. OHS teachers unanimously praise his remarkable empathy, which they variously call his capacity to inhabit the perspectives of others, his authentic open-mindedness, his intellectual flexibility, and his gracious support of others. Teachers who only know Bikram through OHS events express regret that they missed the opportunity to teach someone of such infectious enthusiasm and wit. Bikram is a gentleman and a philosopher, and he will be greatly missed by the OHS community as he embarks on his next adventure. It is my pleasure to invite him to the podium.
Well, here we are, and looks like today is the last checkpoint of our high school careers and the first step along the way to our next life goals. I am truly honored to be here. I remember when I first joined the OHS, the trepidation about an online education, the worry that I wouldn't be able to get to know anyone or make any friends, the anticipation of all the seemingly inevitable tech trouble. And what I got instead was an amazing experience, surprisingly devoid of too many tech issues. And from my very first day at summer at Stanford, where I felt welcomed into the community with open arms, to the very last, when I sat at the campfire and reminisced with everyone, from my very first class to this very graduation weekend and the times I've spent with all of you. The whole experience has really been amazing. As is most likely obvious by now, I've been feeling very nostalgic these past few weeks, and I am glad for the opportunity to share a few words with you all before I leave. Oftentimes it'll seem that people take the time during these graduation speeches to give some sort of sagely advice, but honestly, I don't have nearly enough life experience or experience in general to give any sort of advice. And so I'll try and take this opportunity to express a hope. Something that I think is often overlooked and something that I've noticed is truly unique about the OHS culture. What is this something that I believe in so strongly? It's really simple, actually. It is the willingness to care. It is passion. It is care as in I care about you. I care about helping others. I care about science and the humanities and learning and knowledge. I care about solving problems. I care about the world. I think that the culture of the Stanford Online High School really embodies this trait. I've met students who spend some of their rare and precious free time building computer programs and analyzing the statistics of Skype comments, and then compiling that data into clean and readable graphs so we can all really understand our metrics. And I don't have the ability to do any of that, but it's amazing to watch nonetheless. I know someone who's fascinated by the concepts of artificial intelligence and who wants to answer the question, how can we live forever? I'm friends with someone who loves movies, cinema, and filmmaking, not just going to watch movies for fun, but really turning an analytical eye to their composition and their message. At the OHS, I've participated in passionate debates about whether Rawls's or Nozick's philosophy is more reasonable. I've had hour-long discussions about international relations. Is globalization a force for good or a force for evil? And are wars an unavoidable part of human society or not? Psychology and neuroscience, chemistry and physics, biology, zoology, philosophy, ethics, classics, foreign language, math, figure skating, ballet, football, acting, swimming, writing, painting, whatever it might be, someone at the OHS cares about it. Something, whatever that might be, matters to us. And this, I think, will lead us to greater and greater heights in the future. Bill Gates recently tweeted, surround yourself with people who challenge you, teach you, and push you to be your best self. I really think that we have done that over the past few years. We care about things, we care about learning, we care about the world. We're all successful and remarkable in our own ways, true. But more impressive, I think, is that each of us has something near and dear to our hearts. Something that we think is worth working for and worth pursuing. And it's also true that many times in my admittedly limited life experience, I've seen people not care about things. Things like apathy, cynicism. In some ways, it's considered cool for people to be aloof and uncaring, separated from worldly matters. In the age of the internet, it's easier than ever to ignore the world, to ignore things that we don't care about. Friends of mine outside the OHS will be quick to dismiss a lot of things. If they're interested in academics, they'll dismiss or even look down on people who care about sports. If they're interested in science, they'll dismiss the humanities. And the same things happen in reverse. They'll be bored by philosophy or politics or argumentation outside of the classroom, saying things like, I don't care about that, we're not even in school right now. It's rarely malicious or mean-spirited, but it does put a damper on our excitement and passion. On the internet, people will say things like, the environment doesn't matter, it doesn't affect my life, or what's the point of NASA research? Or I don't care about politics, it's all rigged anyway. Well then, what's the problem with this? What is the problem with apathy and cynicism? Well, the willingness to care is a prerequisite not just to view the world optimistically, but also to view the world realistically. The reality is, ultimately, things matter to us. And they should matter. We should care about many different things. Passion is how we are motivated to work hard and make change. It's how we're even motivated to live. Caring is why we get up in the morning and do what we do, and it stops us from giving up. That's not to say that we at the OHS are perfect either, but I think that we're really well prepared to deal with whatever life may throw at us in the future, precisely because we all care. We've been cocooned up in an environment where everyone is brilliant, talented, and passionate. I know that has been a motivating force for me, and from what I can see, it's a motivating force for everyone. And as we go out into college, or wherever else we may be going, we'll be bringing along with us our memories and the skills that we've developed at the OHS. We'll have to provide our own motivation, and we'll likely come across people that are very different from what we're used to. They might not be willing to engage with us in the same way that we've become accustomed to. That will be challenging. But I think that our ability to care, if we can protect it and nurture it, will bring us success. We'll stay passionate about what we've learned in high school and become passionate about the new things that we encounter in the future. We'll keep open minds. We won't just care about what's important to us, but what's important to other people as well. We'll care about making the world a better place. Another Bill Gates quote comes to mind: don't ignore the serious problems that we face, just believe that they can be solved. So my advice to all of you today, the little summary of what the speech has been about, is more of a hope. I hope that all of us who are graduating this year and who will graduate in future years, that all of us will keep safe our ability to pay attention to the world, our passion for learning, our hardworking nature, and will go forth and care. Thank you all so much for everything. You are all amazing.
Thank you, Bikram. Now, for our guest speaker this morning, Executive Director of Stanford Pre-Collegiate Studies, Dr. Rick Sommer, will give an introduction.
Greetings, OHS community. It is wonderful to see this cheerful and energetic crowd, and congratulations, graduates. I am honored and delighted to introduce our graduation speaker, Dr. Charles Junkerman, Associate Provost and Dean of Continuing Studies at Stanford University. Dr. Youngerman is a distinguished leader at Stanford with a 34-year history of valuable contributions to the university. Dr. Youngerman received his BA from the University of Wisconsin in 1970, and after postgraduate work in France, he entered the PhD program in comparative literature at the University of California, Berkeley, receiving his degree in 1985. He came to Stanford in 1983 to teach in the Western Culture program, and in 1986 moved into academic administration while continuing to teach courses in a broad range of American and European literature and cultural studies. At Stanford, Dr. Youngerman has served as Assistant Dean of Undergraduate Studies, Associate Director of the Stanford Humanities Center, Associate Dean of Continuing Studies, and since 1999, he has served as Associate Provost and Dean of Continuing Studies, overseeing 6 major programs at the university, including Stanford Pre-Collegiate Studies, the umbrella of the Stanford Online High School, as well as Stanford Summer Session and the Master of Liberal Arts program and the Distinguished Careers Institute and the Continuing Studies program. As Associate Provost, Dr. Youngerman has taken an active role in sponsoring arts programs at Stanford and in the Bay Area for over 20 years, including his role as co-producer of the Stanford Repertory Theater. As Associate Provost, he has taken an he has also served as a resident fellow in a freshman dorm for 8 years with his wife and 2 kids. He has been president of the Stanford Historical Society, and he has taught in South Korea, hosted a seminar on Homer in Turkey, lectured widely in Italy and the UK, and taught several courses at a halfway house for women coming out of correctional institutions in the Bay Area. He has also served as he's also taught courses in a broad range of subjects in Native American photography, mountain practice, and departments of English, history, and anthropology. In 2009, he received the Kenneth Cubertson Award for extraordinary contributions to the university. Dr. Youngerman has been a champion of the online high school. He has served as the pre-collegiate, he serves on the Pre-Collegiate Studies Executive Committee, which is the governing board of the online high school, and he has provided a voice for the OHS to the university's president and provost. His support has been instrumental in securing a strong hold at Stanford University for the online high school. Dr. Youngerman values the OHS mission and is dedicated to the success of our school. On a personal note, Charlie has been a wonderful colleague, a mentor, and a friend, and it's been a great pleasure and a delight to have him here today. Without further ado, please welcome Charles Youngerman.
Thank you, Rick, and thanks, everybody. Is this okay? You can hear me? Yep? Good. Great. I want to start with some thank yous. First of all, thank you to all of you who have come from far and near for this momentous occasion to celebrate with students who are graduating. Thanks to the teachers, the staff of the remarkable OHS. And I want to make some specific thank yous. One to Rick Sommer, the Executive Director of Pre-Collegiate Studies, who's been a marvelous leader for the entire community that surrounds the school. Thanks to Karina Momery, who peeks out from behind the green room occasionally to make sure everything is going well. The Director of Student Life, who has put together so much, but I'm sure you appreciate she put together this weekend for you, and you can see her skill and her dedication to your pleasure. And a special thank you to Tomohiro Hoshi, whom you've all gotten to know, I'm sure, in the short time that he's been head of school. And you understand how his intelligence, his gentleness, informs everything that the school does and makes the community what it is. So Tomohiro, profound thanks to you. And finally, I want to say to the class that's graduating and to the entire OHS, to the teachers and to the staff of this school that you make Stanford profoundly proud. And there are many of us at Stanford who love to tell the story, and we're just, couldn't be more appreciative and grateful for what you've done and what you've done for Stanford. So I'm going to start with a small anecdote. It was about 6 or 8 years ago that I first got to know about the online high school, I have to say, and I wasn't sure I understood it, and I'm sure you've all had that experience with your friends and your colleagues, and you try to explain it. And the then director of pre-collegiate studies, EPGY as it was in the day, said, I think the best thing for you to do is to meet somebody who's been through the school. And we got together with Tiffany. I forget Tiffany's last name, I have to confess, but I remember the occasion vividly. We had lunch at the faculty club, and Tiffany said something that will sound familiar to all of you. It was fresh to my ears. She said, I said, well, what was it about the online high school that was special to you? She said, well, I used to go to a bricks and mortar school, but the kids, this is Tiffany speaking, the kids just weren't interested in talking about very much. And then I went to the online high school, and I was in a room with these kids who wanted to talk about ideas all the time. Right? And I said to her, I said, well, but you were never in a room with them, right? And she said, well, but it felt that way, right? And so I want to reflect a little bit on that, both the virtual, not so much on the virtual room that she inhabited, but the real conversations that she had with her fellow students. I want to talk, I've got 10 minutes, so just to warn you how long this is going to take. A little bit about what it means to have a conversation, and in particular what it means to have the kind of conversation that we have in a classroom, which is different from the kind of conversation you might have with your mother late at night in the kitchen or with your friend driving in a car, right? But those conversations, when they work, when they are good, are transformative, they're invigorating, they're redemptive in a kind of way, and we know, and they're memorable. They're memorable. So that's what I want to speak about a little bit today. First of all, what I want to observe is that conversations like these in a classroom, have a certain, not well-defined rules, but a certain protocol, a certain etiquette about them that we all know when we go into them. First of all, we know that this kind of conversation is going to last a particular amount of time, right? We know how long it's going to be. Consequently, that conversation will have a kind of a narrative shape, right? Beginning, middle, and end, right? These conversations will always be will be on an agreed upon topic. And whatever individual remarks individuals will make may be personal, but the topic itself is impersonal. There's an unspoken contract that nobody leaves till the end, and that everybody has responsibility for the success of the common project, for that conversation. Typically, there's a leader. In the ancient world, this person was called a symposiarch, the one who convened the symposium. Today, we call them teachers. And finally, more is expected of participants than talking in turn, talking and waiting. Everybody's also expected to pay attention, to listen, and to accommodate others. And as I say, when these conversations are good, everybody leaves feeling energized, invigorated, and grateful to the others. Grateful, I believe, and this is one of my main points, grateful, I believe, because the conversation allowed them to say things and think things that they couldn't have said or thought on their own, right? Everybody leaves feeling more and better than they felt when they came in. And this is true as true for teachers as it is for students. Students sometimes don't know that teachers leave a good conversation in a class feeling just energized and kind of high for what you've given them. Right? So nobody, I teach Emerson a lot, and I think nobody describes the exhilaration, and it really is exhilaration when the conversation's been good. Nobody describes exhilaration of good conversation better than Emerson. And he wrote an essay in 1842 called Circles. And in this, he talks about how transformative a good conversation will be. This is what he says. He says, the facts which loomed so large yesterday, property, climate, breeding, personal beauty, and the like, have strangely changed their proportions. All that we reckoned settled shakes and rattles, and literature, cities, climates, religions leave their foundations and dance before our eyes. A good conversation, Emerson says, is Pentecostal. It's almost as though we're speaking in tongues because we're allowed to say, invited to say, enabled to say things that we could never have said on our own, outside the group. We leave feeling emancipated, redeemed, and, Emerson says, we recover our rights and become men. Now, Emerson, of course, realizes that this feeling of exhilaration, of invigorated and enlarged life, can't last. It's as transitory as speech. It's as transitory as the words we speak. And he has this wonderful line after that exhilaration of things dancing before our eyes. He says, tomorrow we will have receded from this high water mark. Tomorrow you shall find us stooping under the old pack saddles. And then he says, yet let us enjoy the cloven flame whilst it glows on our walls. Isn't that a wonderful line? He says, let us enjoy the cloven flame whilst it glows on our walls. And I want to suggest, and I think we all know this, that conversations like this that light up the walls, right, don't just happen. We make them happen, and they get better the more we practice at them. We perform these conversations. And I think one of the things that we perform and one of the things we practice in this kind of conversation are social virtues, the virtues that hold our communities together. There are many of them, but I want to speak about just three of them. The first one is attention, right? It's only by paying attention that we can perceive and receive the world outside of the small ego of the self. In conversation, clearly this means listening to others, staying engaged, and not allowing oneself to become distracted. No checking the iPhone under the table, right? And the etymology of the word attention, I think, says a lot. It comes from the Latin, and it means both to be present and to take care of. And we use those cognates of that word today. You know, you attend something, you're here, you're present, but you attend to something, you take care of it. And that's what we do in conversation. We're there, and we're taking care of the conversation. The other social virtue that we practice in conversation is accommodation. And as Rick said, I taught in Korea for a while. And in Korea, they have this wonderful line that has stuck with me. I'm very interested in stone and stone walls and stone construction, so I paid a lot of attention to stone walls in Korea. And somebody once said to me, building a stone wall teaches the virtue of accommodation. Well, how is that? Because when a waller builds a wall and places a stone, no matter how eccentric that stone's shape, the next stone he places has to accommodate its eccentricities, right? You never remove a stone, just in the same way that once you've spoken something in a conversation, you can't take it back, and it's the responsibility of everybody else in the group to accommodate what you've said, no matter how awkward it was, right? So the social virtue of accommodation is profoundly important, and I think we practice it all the time. Cooperation, clearly. Everybody understands that conversation is not a debate. There are no winners and losers. And competition, stubbornness, fanaticism are the first things that will kill a conversation. You probably know that line from Winston Churchill about fanaticism. He said, a fanatic is somebody who can't change his mind and will not change the subject, right? And that's a killer for a conversation. So conversations are not a debate. They're not like a baseball game. It doesn't matter what the score is at the end. In fact, the end comes with reluctance. We're sorry to see it come, and we give into it with reluctance. While it's going on, we're all caught up in it. So Emerson again. Emerson says, all conversation is a series of intoxications. See, if you think Emerson is stuffy and boring, I hope this might change your mind. He sounds, well, and Nietzsche loved Emerson, but he sounds more like Nietzsche. His rhetoric is kind of wild. All conversation is a series of intoxications. The talkers recover themselves at intervals, see how pleasant the gas was, inhale it again, and disport themselves gladly. If they kept cool, there would be no joy. Right? So for Emerson, the exhilaration of a conversation comes from the fact that it draws you out of yourself. It takes you beyond yourself, right? And during while conversation is happening, everybody is occupying a space between the talkers, right? Together we go to some place, and I call it just this middle space that's impersonal, it's beyond personality. The 20th century German philosopher Hans-Georg Gadamer, who thought about conversation his entire life, said this. He said, "It is a characteristic of every true conversation that each opens himself to the other person, truly accepts his point of view as worthy of consideration, and gets inside that point of view to such an extent that he understands not a particular individual, but what he says. The thing that has to be grasped is the objective rightness or otherwise of his opinion, so that they can agree with each other on a subject." This is an impersonal truth. It's not something that we discover out there that's waiting for us, but it emerges in the conversation and evolves as the talk progresses. The 16th century French writer Michel Montaigne, who many of you know, in his lovely, lovely essay on the art of discussion, writes that the most fruitful and natural exercise of our mind, in my opinion, is discussion. I find it sweeter than any other action of our life. And that's the reason why, if I had to choose between losing my sight or my hearing and my speech, I would lose my sight. So what is it about conversation that makes Montaigne think it's more valuable than his eyesight? I think the answer is the same one Emerson gave us. Conversation makes us bigger than ourselves. The study of books, Montaigne writes, is a feeble activity that gives no heat. I'm not sure I'd agree with that. But whereas discussion, he says, teaches and exercises us at the same time. If I discuss with a strong mind and a stiff jouster, I like that one, he presses on my flanks, prods me right and left, his ideas launching mine. Rivalry, glory, competition push me and lift me above myself. One other, people have been fascinated by conversation throughout their lives. Major philosophers. I mean, conversation seems like something that's so ordinary, so kind of unexceptional. But you know, it's a long thread of fascination. Michael Oakshott, 20th century British philosopher, like Montaigne, says it's one of the most important things in life. But he says it's not so much like jousting as it is like cooking. He says, success does not lie in the conclusion of the discussion by some unanswerable pronouncement. That is failure. Success is to maintain this delicate equilibrium, to keep alive what has miraculously been given life. We may win a point, score a hit, but that's incidental. Nobody wins a conversation. Like those of the art of cookery, the achievements in conversation are transitory, and consequently, its pleasure is absolute in each moment. Again, that reminder that the intense pleasures are transitory, but like Emerson said, let us enjoy the flame while it flickers on the wall. Now, I'm going to end with a little anecdote that I love. It's the counter to those who come to a conversation, because there are people who come to a conversation to light the flame. There are others who come who are wet blankets and tend to smother it. And one of those people in Emerson's life was his lifelong friend, Henry Thoreau. You know about their, I won't say troubled relationship, but they were very different men, but were loyal to each other throughout their lives. And in Emerson's journal in 1841, there's an entry that I can imagine Emerson, sweet man, writing in his journal either right after the evening conversation that took place or the next morning, reflecting on his irksome friend, Henry Thoreau. And this is what he says. He says, you, Henry, come into this company meanly, mean-spirited, meanly. We have come for the love of seeing each other and of conversing together. You've come to give us things which are written already in your notebooks, and when you have told them, you are spent. The best of our talk is invented here, and we go hence greater than we came, by so much life as we have awakened in each other. But you, when your quiver is emptied, must sit dumb and careful the rest of the evening. Careful, full of care. You, when your quiver is empty, must sit dumb and careful the rest of the evening. Everything you say makes you poorer, and everything we say makes us richer. You go home when the company breaks up forlorn. We go home, this parentheses, without a thought on ourselves, full of happiness to pleasant dreams. Isn't that nice? And always with Emerson, I mean, you get annoyed with Thoreau, but he's always cheerful and ends on that wonderful Emersonian note. We go hence greater than we came without a thought on ourselves. It's wonderful, isn't it? So that's where I want to end, and I want to say, as you prepare to go hence, I'm sure you're already, I can hear you, Anna and Vikram and the rest of you, I'm sure, saying it already, how much you regret leaving this community, but then Anna's point that you're not actually leaving this community, but leaving grateful for those in this community who have given you the opportunity to have conversations that made you larger than yourselves, that invigorated your lives, and that you are going hence with hearts full and thoughts not on yourself so much, but with gratefulness for what's been done here together. So congratulations, class of 2017.
Thank you so much, Charlie. It's an honor to have you here. Now, I would like to invite the senior class vice president, Gina Kumar, to the stage to present the senior class gift.
On behalf of the class of 2017, I would like to express our most deepest gratitude to the teachers and the staff and the counselors and all the parents who have pushed us to this day so that we can graduate finally. As OHS students, we have had the opportunity to flourish, and we have had access to the greatest high school education, honestly, in the world, I would say. So, to give back, we decided this year to donate to kids who do not have the opportunity to get education and do not have a safe living environment. We donated to Save the Children, which is a charity that provides education for students around the world. Right now, they are working in 120 countries, and even in the United States, they're working in 19 states, and even in California. There is poverty in California. Save the Children believes that every child deserves a future. They hope someday that they can make communities and countries self-sustaining so that they don't have to help them anymore. The countries and communities, they will provide education. They will create a safe environment for their own students. And I think that is a great, great goal. So, thankfully, we have donated $1,500 thus far. And we had a goal of $2,000. I would encourage all of you to donate further and help Save the Children reach their goal of creating environments for these children. I would like to present this certificate to the OHS with all of the signatures of the seniors of this class so they have something to remember us by.
Thank you, Gina. Now, Senior Class President Queenberry will introduce the Instructor Speaker this year.
Hello, everyone. It's really an honor to be up here on this stage. I'm Queenberry, as Dr. Toshi said. This is my 4th year at the OHS, and I'm here to introduce our instructor speaker for the commencement ceremony, Dr. Lisa Hicks. When recommending Dr. Hicks, one personal anecdote comes to mind. This past fall, I was traveling to Washington, D.C. for a college visit and reading the assigned chapters of Candide in the car. But I worried if I would make it to the hotel in time for my approaching CRA section. Though I reached the hotel just a minute after class started, I completely forgot to submit the homework assignment due before class. And I think this is an experience that all OHSers share. When I loaded Adobe Connect, feeling proud of myself for doing the reading and making it to discussion, I was shocked to also find a private message from Dr. Hicks, asking where my work was. At that time, I was really in a tight spot. I did not have an excuse for late work because I could have prevented this issue with more focus. Still, when I explained myself to Dr. Hicks, she calmly wrote back, "No worries, Quinn. I will look for your work tomorrow." This episode, while trivial, illustrates one reason why Dr. Hicks is an excellent choice for instructor speaker. She is remarkably adept at making her students feel welcome and that someone is on their side. Dr. Hicks's discussion sections and office hours became a home for me in the first semester of senior year. In one instance, I would find myself vigorously debating God's existence and free will. Shout out to Theo Dutcher, wherever you are in here, for always playing the devil's advocate in those discussions. Then in the next, bluntly discussing the stress of the college process, asking for help on an upcoming assignment, or simply hanging out, as philosophers are wont to do. The laid-back manner in which Dr. Hicks conducts herself enables me and my classmates to see her as a friend, mentor, and fellow scholar, rather than the intimidating philosophical genius that she is. She never imposes her opinions on us in class or berates students to participate, something I can safely say all seniors dealing with senioritis and the senior slump greatly appreciate. In short, as one student eloquently wrote in the Skype group, she is, quote, very chill. I present to you, class of 2017, our instructor speaker, Dr. Lisa Hicks.
Hello, folks. So speakers in this situation are enjoined to observe the 3 B's. We are to be brief, be brilliant, and be seated. I am confident in my ability to manage one of these. We'll see how the other 2 go. So I have prepared for you today a short and scattered bit of philosophical rambling, which is appropriate because I am a short and scattered bit of philosophical rambling. I've been thinking for the past month or so since I got the, hey, will you be the speaker thing, about what to talk about today. And I keep going back to the idea of liminal spaces. I think this ties in nicely with Charlie's thought about conversational spaces as a space a little bit apart from and outside of other spaces. Liminal spaces are the spaces between 2 areas. It's from the Latin word limen, which means threshold. And the threshold of a door isn't exactly inside, but it's not exactly outside either, right? When you're on the threshold, you're kind of in both and neither. So it's a space in between. I always think about liminal spaces when I'm traveling, and I started drafting this talk in an airport, which is a great example of a liminal space. Airports, train stations, highways, the places where you're between point A and point B. So you're not here yet, but you're not there yet. My favorite fictional liminal space is platform 9 3/4 in the Harry Potter series. It is the platform between the magical world and the muggle world. If you don't know what muggles are, I'm very sorry for you. Ask me later. Toward the end of the series, the main character, Harry, has, I guess we'd call it like a near-death experience, and his mind represents that experience as taking place on the train platform, except it's really clean, which, you know, London train platforms not so much. For the whole series, the platform has represented the spot between the magical world and the muggle world, and now it also represents the space between life and death. It's great. It is top-notch literary symbolism. I recommend it to you all. So I keep coming back to this idea of liminal spaces because today you guys are all entering one. It is not quite so dramatic as the space between the magical and non-magical world or the space between life and death, but it is a liminal space nonetheless. The summer between high school and college is a liminal space. As of today, you are no longer high school students, no longer primary or secondary school students, for really the first time since you have started being students, but you're not college students yet. So some stages of your life have these reasonably defined activities that shape them and normal ways of unfolding and doing things. And you're about to slip into a time between those stages, a time that doesn't come with a usual way of doing things, a liminal space. And these are spaces of possibility. So use your summer possibilities to think about some stuff. This concept of a liminal space is, of course, a metaphor. And metaphors are among the stuff that you might think about as you're in this liminal space between high school and college. So what are the useful metaphors for thinking about the kind of life that you want to have? Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher that I wrote my dissertation about, and who got a shout out in Charlie's speech, is full to bursting with metaphors. But his primary ones for thinking about making a life, he has 3 of them, are the garden, the path, and the work of art. The unifying thing about those 3 metaphors is that they all involve some parts that are given, basically fixed and unchangeable, and some parts that are up to us. So for the garden, your climate and the size of your plot are fixed, but the things that you plant are up to you. For the path, the starting point and the ending point are fixed, but the route that you take is up to you. And for the work of art, your materials are fixed, but what you make of those materials is up to you. And Nietzsche would tell us that so it is with making a life. Some of the things about you are fixed, and what you do with those fixed features is up to you. The existentialists call this tension between what's fixed and what's up to us the tension between facticity and freedom. And they remind us that the 2 concepts are flip sides of one another. Our facticity sets the conditions within which we exercise our freedom, and our present exercises of our freedom set the limits of our future facticity. So as you enter the liminal space of this summer between high school and college, maybe think about what your facticity, the relatively fixed and stable givens of your situation, will look like when you're in college. And think about what you want to do with those givens, how you want to exercise your freedom in relation to them. And think about the metaphors that can serve as guides and touchstones as you start thinking about how to exercise that freedom. Do you think of your life like a path? That was Anna's metaphor. Whether that path is straight or twisty. Do you think of it like an ocean with no distinguishing landmarks on the surface, but with a lot going on in the depths? Do you think about it like a tree branching off in lots of different directions from a central trunk? Different possibilities come into focus with the different metaphors. So maybe spend a little time thinking about the different metaphors that might be useful for you. And talking about trees and usefulness makes me think about Zhuangzi, the Chinese philosopher from about 300 years before the Common Era. We were talking in one of my CRA sections, we're not great on non-Western philosophy in course, so it is nice to get a chance to give a shout out to a Chinese philosopher. Zhuangzi primarily wrote in stories and parables and metaphors that are really complicated and hard to unpack. One of my favorite passages of his is about a useless tree. I will read it to you now. Carpenter Shi was traveling in Qi and came upon a tree of the large shrine at Huayan Bend. It was over 100 arm spans around, so large that thousands of oxen could shade themselves beneath it. It overstretched the surrounding hills, its lowest branches hundreds of feet from the ground, at least a dozen of which could have been hollowed out to make into ships. It was surrounded by marveling sightseers, but the carpenter walked past it without a second look. When his apprentice finally tired of admiring it, he caught up with Carpenter Shi and said, "Since taking up my axe to follow you, master, I have never seen a tree of such fine material as this. And yet you don't even deign to look twice at it or pause beneath it. Why?" Carpenter Shi said, "Stop, say no more. This is worthless lumber. As a ship, it would soon sink. As a coffin, it would soon rot. As a tool, it would soon break. As a door, it would leak sap. As a pillar, it would bring infestation. This is a talentless, worthless tree. It is precisely because it is so useless that it has lived so long." Back home, Carpenter Shi saw the tree in a dream. It said to him, "What do you want to compare me to? One of those cultivated trees? The hawthorn, the pear, the orange, the rest of those fructiferous trees and shrubs. When their fruit is ripe, they get plucked. That is an insult. Their large branches get bent, their small get pruned. Thus do their abilities embitter their lives. That is why they die young, falling under axes and saws. They batter themselves with the vulgar conventions of the world, and all other creatures do the same. As for me, I've been working on being useless for a long time. It almost killed me, but I finally managed it, and it is of great use to me. If I were useful, do you think I could have grown to be so great? In speeches like this one, graduates are often enjoined to make themselves useful in their lives and their careers. And that is a good thing to do, but I find Zhuangzi a nice cautionary tale about the dangers of focusing too much on usefulness and utility. Zhuangzi reminds us that useful things get used. So make yourselves useful, yes, but not so useful that you get used up. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, beware of the dangers of too much usefulness. It's a nice corrective for those of us who are maybe a little too inclined to drink the utilitarian Kool-Aid. Immanuel Kant, who is not a man interested in even sipping the utilitarian Kool-Aid, has a tree metaphor as well, or at least a wood metaphor. He writes that out of the crooked timber of humanity, no straight thing was ever made. Zhuangzi would agree, but maybe he'd say that's not such a bad thing. It's the straight trees that get cut down and made into furniture. That observation about crooked timber brings me around, as most things eventually do, to Aristotle. If you have your CRA bingo card, you can finally cover the Dr. Hicks Babbles about Aristotle space. Aristotle also has a metaphor about wood, and I think maybe Kant is alluding to it with that bit about humanity and the crooked timber thereof. As you will recall from first semester, Aristotle thinks that virtue or excellence is the mean between two extremes. So bravery is the mean between cowardice and rashness, generosity is the mean between stinginess and profligacy, and so forth. And Aristotle says that for any virtue, most of us will naturally tend toward one extreme or the other. We don't by nature get it right. So in order to hit the mean, we ought to aim a little toward the other extreme, in the same way that if we're trying to straighten a bent piece of wood, we don't just pull it to the straight spot, but we pull it a little past the straight spot, so that when we relax the tension on it, it ends up closer to where we wanted it. If we do the right things in the right circumstances, with the right combination of skill and luck, we can straighten the crooked timber, or so Aristotle thinks. So that metaphor is partly about wood and trees and the crooked timber of humanity, but it's also about aiming, right? It's about hitting a target. Aristotle starts the Nicomachean Ethics with an archery metaphor. He says that the good is the target at which we all aim. It's a really concrete metaphor, right? We can see the target, we feel the tension of the bow, we hear that little shh of the arrow as it goes through the air. All of Aristotle's metaphors are like that, concrete and sensory and grounded in this world. And he doesn't lose that concreteness even when he's talking about something as abstract as the good. Plato's metaphors for the good are of things that we can't achieve in this world. His guiding images are shadows and illusions and copies and the reach that exceeds our grasp. Excellence for Plato is in some inaccessible place beyond and outside this world. And I don't think there's even a liminal space between this world and that one for Plato. Our crooked timber will never be straight enough to get us to the good. But for Aristotle, excellence is here and now. The thing about a target for Aristotle is not all of the ways that we can miss it, but rather the fact that we can hit it. Getting it right is possible. We can hit the target and straighten the crooked stick and achieve the good. It's hard and elusive, transitory. Maybe we can only manage it for a moment or two, perhaps in one of these liminal spaces, but it can be done. And now I should send you out into the world to do the things that can be done in the various ways that only you can do them. So go do the things, and congratulations. Thank you.
Now, it is a tradition at OHS to read a few words about each senior as they accept their diplomas. Our OHS instructors and staff members have produced senior comments, and abbreviated versions of those comments will be read out as each senior accepts their diplomas. The full versions of those comments will be projected as we recess after the ceremony, and seniors will receive copies of the full comments with their diplomas. As we now prepare to provide diplomas, I would like to invite division heads to the stage so they read out senior comments. Jonathan Wheel, Division Head of Core, Christina Zalengo, Division Head of English, Laurie Bickard, Division Head of Languages, Bruce Bridge, Division Head of Mathematics, Rafi Holmes, Division Head of Science.
Zuha Alam. Zuha's academic curiosity often leads her far beyond what's required, and her finely honed abilities as a communicator shine through whether she's analyzing lexicographical theory or the workings of a homopolar motor. Alyssa Simone Allen. Alyssa is intelligent, gracious, reflective, and earnest. Taken as a whole, these qualities combine to form an individual who is highly capable while also displaying sincere humility. Alyssa is a pleasure to work with on both an intellectual and personal level. Tira Lilia Alexandra Altunen. Tira is a thinker of grace and power. Both a skilled musician and a fine mind, Tira cheerfully and diligently explores the complicated confluence of music and the mind. Rupjot Atwal. RJ possesses a keen intellect, maturity beyond her years, and, most notably, is incredibly humble. She routinely challenges herself by taking on the most difficult assignments and executes her work nearly flawlessly, with great attention to detail. Olga Aristoya. Olga excels in her ability to inspire engaging conversations and is not one to hold back. She is forthright yet thoughtful and will never hesitate to speak her mind. Ambitious and energetic, there is no area of her life in which she has not challenged herself to reach her limits. Gabriela Inoni Asuncion. From tangling with obscure philosophical ideas to exploring dense historical documents, Gabby delves into academic challenges across the disciplines with gusto and poise. Her intellectual dexterity is matched by the kindness and respect she shows her classmates. Quinn Montgomery Berry. Forthright, charismatic, and self-aware, Quinn's outgoing personality is matched only by his intellectual abilities and leadership skills. Further, he always encourages others to join in the thrill of discovery. Quinn is inspiring to those around him, and he makes learning fun. Sophie Bazarati. Bazarati. Sophie is contemplative and quiet, but also courageous. She combines exceptional intellectual skills with an unrelenting drive to improve and refine her work. Instructors remark on her ability to ask probing questions, as well as to encourage her classmates. Caroline Becker. With her terrific sense of humor and strong convictions, Caroline is committed to making the world a better place. She wears her intelligence and ambition lightly, gleefully poking at problems to see what she can shake loose. Caroline brightens any room she enters. Danielle Carnegie, who I believe is not here in person. Hello if you're watching right now online, or in a recording, I suppose. Whether in her pursuit of ballet at the highest level or in her approach to her academic work, Danielle shows deep and serious engagement in all that she does. She is always inquisitive and insightful, showing dedication in class discussions and in her written work. Cyrus Kless Crocker. Kind and motivated with a social conscience, Cyrus has engaged in deep consideration of such diverse topics as the economics of parental leave, evolution of Chinese characters, and US-North Korea relations. He is a positive influence on all around him.
Birta Gabriele Doluda. Birta is a lively, undaunted thinker who consistently drives discussions forward, providing illumination for all. An adventurous person at heart, Birta's worldly perspective has left a deep imprint on her classmates, her instructors, and the OHS community. Paige Elizabeth Downey. Paige is an effervescent presence in the classroom who exudes cheerful candor, conviction, and humility. She is a consistent, positive contributor, encouraging discussions and tackling complex social and political topics with poise and compassion. Theodore James Dutcher. Theo thinks deeply about the issues he finds interesting. He possesses an innate ability to connect ideas across disciplines, as well as to his own experiences. He shares his enthusiasm for discovery with others in class discussions and in other venues. Basil L. Rewini. Basil's academic approach in speech, argumentative essays, and lab reports is a model of clarity, comprehension, and incisiveness. Possessing a humble, understated demeanor, Basil is a quiet leader in his OHS classes as well as on the soccer field. Hannah Enlow. Hannah embodies the qualities of the ideal OHS student. She is a serious individual with an intellect and work ethic capable of overcoming any academic challenge. She never fails to attempt challenging problems or offer her thoughts to keep discussions moving. Annika Adeline Fleming. Annika is deeply inquisitive, insightful, and persuasive. She takes a keen interest in topics discussed in class and is not afraid to challenge ideas or her own worldview. Annika's probing questions take class discussions to interesting places. Sophie Isabel Garrett. Sophie's instructors note her enthusiasm and intellectual insights, but even more, her rare openness. She is honest and brave, both emotionally and intellectually. Sophie is also a wonderfully quirky delight, and her presence lights up the virtual classroom. Madeline Goldfarb. Madeline is an inquisitive and careful thinker who takes initiative to pursue her passions outside of the classroom. She's focused and analytical, yet able to get at the heart of major matters in concise and precise terms, especially with problems of profound ethical significance. Julia Elena Gonzalez. A model of a grounded, reflective learner, Elena impresses her instructors with her thoughtfulness and willingness to take risks. Perpetually encouraging of her classmates, she possesses a remarkable ability to bring levity to a nuanced discussion of ideas. Richard Granis Vu. Witty, sharp, and supportive of others, Ricky's instructors describe him as just the type of student one wants in a class discussion. Through the informal support he provides in our virtual hallways, Ricky brings his peers together and ensures that everyone feels included. Thorne Gregory III. In class, Thorne gets to the heart of the matter under discussion, focusing everyone's attention on key moments or arguments that shape the meaning of the entire text. He makes every class better with his intellectual presence and supportive, positive perspective. Megan Nora Cromlick Bigger Gray. Megan's kindness, reflectiveness, and dedication to both academics and social justice embody the essence of a well-rounded, grounded Renaissance woman. Her commitment to academics and intellectual discovery is truly inspiring. Fiona Guy Hull. Always fully engaged in the learning process, Fiona possesses acuity and humility in just the right proportions. Instructors describe her as fascinated by everything and indicate that she is utterly indispensable in the classroom environment.
Joseph Christopher Hall. Whether flying planes, designing and coding apps, or teaching younger students the skills he knows and loves, Joseph's natural talents and infectious enthusiasm shine in everything he does. Kind and thoughtful, he is a loyal friend and an excellent classmate. Mackenzie Reagan Hanna. Described as a flat-out terrific class member, Kenzie's instructors remark upon her strong sense of self. Kenzie has a unique ability to articulate her own ideas, remaining true to herself while listening carefully to other points of view.
Ariana Huffelman. Ariana possesses a keen attention to detail, a quality which manifests itself in her approach to her coursework as well as in her Irish dance pursuits. She is a hard worker who is willing to put forth great effort in order to achieve success.
Maya Shu. An articulate and compelling speaker, Maya is willing to defend her own claims trenchantly and vigorously. Further, her artistic skill and wry sense of humor add welcome animation to her assignments and classes. Madeline Hurwitz. Maddie combines impeccable work with utterly genuine humility. She is able to tell captivating and funny stories and can command a room with her insightful contributions. She is optimistic, open to experience, and genuinely happy for others. Tanmay Karar. Tanmay's instructors describe his analytical thinking abilities as nearly unrivaled. He is able to independently engage in high-level scholarly work, generating critical analyses that demonstrate deep and nuanced understanding. His journey has been a joy to behold. Young Chan Kim. An impressive learner and thinker, Young-tan is capable of taking on serious challenges. He is scrupulously honest and devoted to the pursuit of knowledge for its own sake. As diligent, courteous, and generous a student as we could hope to have. Manisha Chaudhary Kuneru. Meticulous and organized, Manisha has demonstrated impressive resilience and commitment to the processes of learning. She brings reflective depth and a supportive ear to her classes and peers in a way that makes everyone more fully engaged. Gina Kumar. Gina has long demonstrated an easy rapport with and support of her peers, as well as mature research ability and excellent engagement with complex material. She is as real as they come, funny, kind, insightful, and always eager to help. Robert Lucas Kwong. Wonderfully courageous, vivacious, and sympathetic, Luke is a leader both within the OHS classroom and beyond. Luke is consistently brimming with enthusiasm and can be counted on to bring others together with his energy and 100% positive attitude. Matthew Shi Li. Matthew has moved through OHS humbly accomplishing impressive things. He generously shares in class and always has a positive collegial attitude. An innovator and critical thinker, he has worked tirelessly outside of school to tackle important societal issues. Shannon Madden. An insightful and socially active student with a great ability to keep things in perspective, Shannon is integrity personified. Kindness infuses all that she does, her time in the classroom, her interactions with classmates, and her work outside of school.
Ian Moo. Ian has been spreading happiness, sometimes cow-related, for years. He's devoted and animated by music. Joy infuses both his intellect and creativity. Ian revs up a room and is as unpretentious as any smart guy you'll ever meet. Katerina Moros. Katerina is lightning fast, with great range and enthusiasm. She is a wondrous jolt of energy in class. You can see the smile on Kati's face, but also hear it in her voice and feel it in her writing. It is a pure joy of learning, and it is extremely infectious. Miranda Nover. Miranda displays impressive range in and out of the classroom. At home in the upper reaches of the OHS math curriculum, she is just as comfortable in CRA, where she encourages her classmates to think of those whose voices aren't heard by the mainstream philosophy. Godwin Pangyatlong. Beyond his impeccable intellectual abilities, Godwin has shown himself to be an inquisitive, hopeful, and considerate young man. Instructors describe him as respectful and thoughtful, and always willing to help out or elevate discussion by providing insight. Dave Rangarajan. Those of us who have spent time with Dave in class, in robotics, or in Rome, know him as a reliable source of eagerness, encouragement, and insight. He is insightful in examining material, aware of those around him, and always eager to promote the needs of others. Avery Rogers, who isn't here. Avery is bold and curious, unhesitant to take a stand on difficult issues and defend them with ingenuity. A recent addition to OHS, she quickly proved herself as knowledgeable and wise beyond her years, always extending discussions in new directions. Alyssa Roller. Alyssa is a smart, self-assured, and funny human being. Combined with her clear comfort in taking intellectual risks and strong sense of intellectual propriety, her sharp wit and attention to detail render her a force to be reckoned with any academic arena. Zaki Siddiqui. Who's also not here. Zaki's evolution in the classroom has been impressive. He has emerged as an energetic participant with infectious enthusiasm and engaging presentation skills. He enjoys challenging ideas, a quality which has propelled him to organize with peers around common problems. Jasmine Singh. Jasmine is an ebullient OHS ambassador and an irrepressible class president who is diligent and keenly insightful. She has been an asset to the school community, and everything she does carries a genuine commitment to making a positive difference in the world. Tej Singh. Tej's analytical mind is always racing, and he is always on the move. His success out of class is a testament to his creativity and drive to make big things happen. His contributions in class always add humor and new ways of thinking about the material. Alessandra Sozi. Andy is always looking for opportunities to connect with others. She possesses a kind and generous nature, in addition to intrinsic drive and tenacity. Andy provokes discussion with conviction, but she is innately curious, so her mind is always open. Anna Jane Stoneman. Anna exemplifies the axiom that still waters run deep. Her warm and easygoing nature belies her immense passion and drive. She's a leader at OHS, both academically and socially, and has worked tirelessly to build upon a growing sense of community.
Soojin Ski. Katie is an impressive student, an intelligent and independent person who operates with an admirable focus on bettering herself through the pursuit of challenge. In class, she is always willing to probe with tough questions, and she reliably leads discussions. Rilla Catherine Johnston Taylor. Perceptive, intelligent, and dedicated, Rilla embodies the ideal of learning for learning's sake. In her classes, she has demonstrated a sense of curiosity that is inspirational as she asks thoughtful questions and adeptly engages with even the most difficult topics. Alexandra Tett. Alex is inquisitive, philosophic, diligent, determined, and incredibly humble. Her thoughtful and persistent approach to both academics and equestrianism embody the essence of a well-rounded, grounded scholar and athlete at their very best. Emily M. Thurston. Emily is a kind, conscientious student who consistently impresses with her flexibility of thought and her commitment to learning. She's on track to do wonderful things in science, and she has the motivation, the drive, and the creativity to do amazing things in whatever field she chooses. Drake Thomas. Drake's mathematical maturity is outstanding. He moves seamlessly between intuitive insight and rigorous proof. In addition, he composes original, interesting, and challenging puzzles and problems, a skill rare even among professional mathematicians. Aidan Trotter. One of Aidan's greatest strengths is his impassioned sense for certain issues, such as social justice. An ardent reader, he often makes observations about elements of a text that have been overlooked or sidelined in discussion, and shows how they matter in a deep way. Vivian Tsai. Vivian has a knack for delivering zingers in class, accounting for what everyone else has said and advancing discussion. At such moments, her tone is serious, but her sharp insights cause joy, and the smiles that come with hearing something true expressed so well. Vikram Venkatram. Vikram serves as an example of how the characteristics that make for a good student also make for a good person. Instructors praise his remarkable empathy, his authentic open-mindedness, his intellectual flexibility, and his gracious support of others. Jacob Williamson. Jacob possesses a powerful mind with a capacious memory and honed intellect, all of which keep his instructors and peers on their toes when his gears are grinding. He shows great flexibility in his ability to understand and assess any idea he encounters. Christopher Wolfram. Chris pursues his curiosity as far as possible in ways that are intellectually delightful to those around him. He is a creative thinker unconfined by conventional boundaries between disciplines, instead making surprising and original connections between them. Jamie Z. Jamie is a focused and engaged student known for her creative approach to addressing problems. Outside of OHS, she has combined her trademark drive, love of shopping, and artistic ability to begin what will likely be a great career in the fashion industry. Homan Owen Shu. Owen is wise beyond his years, possesses tremendous vision, and has what it takes to be an influential leader. He's proven that he cares deeply about important issues facing society and is almost certain to continue working on ways to improve the world. And lastly, Daniela Zacks. Daniela's tenacity, keen intellectual drive, and curiosity captivate her instructors and peers alike. She's forthright yet thoughtful, she'll never hesitate to speak her mind, and most remarkably, she does this with great humility and composure.
As our ceremony draws to a close, to a close this morning, we invite all students, families, guests, instructors, and staff members to a reception outdoor immediately following the ceremony. We also ask that when we are at the conclusion of the ceremony, you allow the students, instructors, and staff members to recess first before others go out to the festivity outside. Thank you so much for being here today. Now, class of 2017, stand up. Please take your tassel on your right and transfer it to the left. You have now successfully graduated from Stanford Online High School. Now, everyone ready for the traditional cap toss? 1, 2, 3. Thank you all so much, and again, to our class of 2017 graduates, congratulations and best of luck.